I'd like to welcome you to the next episode of Wired for Success, and I'll let my guests introduce themselves.
Yeah, my name's Darryn Evans. I'm a mortgage broker based in Camberley, and I'm here at the pleasure of Jamie Morgan.
Fantastic. So tell me about the mortgage market at the moment. There's a lot of things that are happening and changing.
Yeah, it is moving around quite a lot at the moment. It's base rate is coming down. Lenders are reacting to this. Sometimes they're going up, bringing it back down. Sometimes
It's been a choppy couple of years for the mortgage game.
It has, yeah. But people are still buying. Yeah. People still want property. There's always first-time buyers out there. They're always looking for property, and you kind of look at it as like property is a safe bet.
So is that lots of first-time buyers coming into the market? Is it people remortgaging or just moving house? What do you see the most of?
Me, myself, just talking about myself, it's first-time buyers. I do see a lot of first-time buyers coming in with healthy deposits. They know they want to save up.
Is that banker mum and dad helping them along the way? Or
there is a few of that, yeah. I'm not going to lie, and that is obviously quite handy in some stages. And obviously, the more you put down, the better rates you get, because it's all based on loans and values.
We live in quite a luxurious or an expensive area of Surrey and Hampshire, don't we? So the property prices here are quite healthy at the best of times. So I imagine for those first-time buyers, there's a few hoops to jump through.
Yeah, it can be, but I do find a lot of people have been saving well. They know what they want. I think the difference is there's a lot out there on the internet. So you've got all the advice you need straight away. You know what kind of deposit you need, 5%, 10%. People know how it works, where before maybe you just walked into an estate agent, you saw a mortgage broker, and that was your guy. Yeah. But now everything's out there. People are putting out videos on TikToks. Not always all to be believed, but there's enough information out there. So people are saving well. They know they've got access to savings accounts everywhere, rather than just walking into your bank and going, hey, what can I do with my money?
Because years ago, we're similar kind of ages, and you were in that situation. You went and saw the bank manager, and if the bank manager liked you or had some influence over, or your family knew the bank manager, 20, 30 years ago, it was all of that. Whereas there's so many opportunities for people now, so many different lenders, and you said to me before, there's a lot of people or a lot of banks and lenders that you deal with that most people have never heard of.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, people walk into the high street bank and they're limited to that one bank because they think that that's who they bank with, so that's who they're going to go to. Not realising different banks have different criteria, and not everyone is suited to that bank. So they walk in there, ask for a mortgage, get declined, and they're like, oh. So that's me done.
You talk about that emotional thing about getting declined, and it's kind of like the fear of God that gets into people. When's the best time for someone to start talking to a mortgage broker? Because I can imagine if you've taken the missus to look at a house, she's fallen in love with it, then it's like, oh, we need to get a mortgage in place.
At that point.
Really?
If your wife falls in love with a place and it's in this bracket, and you think you can afford this just because you've run a quick affordability calculator, but not put all the relevant information in, it doesn't always work like that. The best time is early as possible.
So if you're looking for that first time property, how long do people need to get their credit scores and look at all that kind of stuff, or is it just a case of coming and having a conversation with you?
Having a conversation. It starts with a conversation, and you start with saying, let's tidy up bank accounts. Let's make sure if you're getting transactions to and from your own personal accounts, let's make sure they haven't got funny names on. Lenders are going to look at this. Let's make sure you're on an electoral roll. You'd be surprised, people are like, electoral roll, and they don't realise that can have a negative effect. Different lenders have different ways they look at criteria.
Someone said to me years ago that if you buy the lottery regularly, that a lender would look at how much you're kind of gambling, or William Hill or things like that.
It can be. Let's be honest. If you're earning 100k a year and you're spending £500 a month, and not too bad. You're earning 20k and you're spending £500 a month. There's a different light shone on that. So it's relevant to your case. Obviously, people have expenses. Life is expensive. Fuel goes up. Everything goes up. Now, we know that when we look at someone's bank statements, you can look at it and you go, okay, now that's not essential. But when it comes to paying your mortgage, we know what side of the fence you're going to fall on. You pay your mortgage, or you keep buying Costas, you keep paying for the gym, you keep buying
the Sky TV and all of the things.
And you get kicked out of your house because you can't afford your mortgage. So we hope that we give them enough advice that we can say, this is what you're doing. It is a commitment. We always say the line, as a last resort, so on and so forth. And people have to understand that. People think, oh, well, I pay rent. I've paid my £1,200 rent, my £3,000 rent, therefore I should be able to get a mortgage. That's not how it works. We've got to know that you are in the right place and you've got the right mindset moving forward.
So from that mortgage point of view, I think my first mortgage back in about 2004 was about 3.5 times my wages, and I was lucky enough. I had my business at the time. I was earning good money. My other half income wasn't really taken into account because I was a higher earner of the two of us, but about 3.5 times my thing. And I did the exact opposite of what all my friends were doing. I got a fixed rate of 5.5% for 5 years, and I locked in, and I knew what I was going to spend. And everyone's like, oh, the market's going to go down, interest rates will get cheaper. But I was like, at least I'm committed, budgeted, knew what was going on. Yeah. So is it still that similar kind of thing? 2 times our mortgage,
same
our salaries?
Yeah, same conversation over and over with clients.
Yeah.
Look, you can bank on trends coming down, interest rates coming down, or you can go in and take 5 years.
Yeah.
You're buying a house. It's a big commitment. You've got wife, you've got kids, you've got a husband. Everyone's committed into this.
Yes.
So for the next 5 years, do you want to know you've got the security of paying the same amount every month?
Or do you want to spin the roulette wheel?
Exactly. Some people it's fine. Some people want to take a chance. They think, hey, it's going to come down by 1%. Will that make a massive difference to their lives? Possibly.
Yeah.
But if it goes up,
yeah.
it works both ways, doesn't it? Yeah. So I will make sure I always have them conversations at the start. How do you outlook at this? How do you see the future going? We only know it makes someone halfway around the world to make some kind of crazy decision. Yeah. It can affect what we do.
Oil
right
prices
here.
Affect something else.
Exactly. Yeah. So you have to base each client on what they believe and try and. You can't tell them what to do. You lead them and you give them the options, and then this is right for you.
Do you think people are more financially responsible nowadays because there's that much more information about?
You'd like to think so. Not always. You speak to people all the time, and you're like, "Why are you paying this much out on this? Why have you got I won't go to it, but why have you got like 20 Klarnas? Yeah. You're paying monthly for some. Yeah. Oh, well, they offered it to me, and I'm like, it costs you £50. I can see the money in your bank. Why are you taking out a Klarna for this amount? It all may have an effect. Yeah. So I think people do get lured in by this. They just need to balance their money. They think that it's not everyone, but a deserving case. I deserve the big TV. Yeah. I deserve this, and it's like, but you're going for a
instant gratification rather than actually, we're doing something meaningful here. And buying a house is a project. Yeah. It's not a, as you say, 25-year project.
Yeah.
I know you've talked before about that instant gratification as to whether you save another £1,000 next month or whether you have a blow it all Christmas with the kids and grandkids and stuff like that. And people's mentality can be different to what you're expecting at times.
Yeah, exactly. I always try and bang on about overpayments. You'd be surprised people are not aware they can make overpayments. Yeah. They're like, well, I deserve this. I'm like, yeah, but one Costa a day can take X amount of years off your mortgage. Yeah. Why do you really need that coffee? Buy a coffee machine. Yeah. It can make. You're looking at a mortgage where you can retire stop paying your mortgage at 60 or 66. The last. If you're working life and you've still got another 6 years because you wanted a Costa coffee every day. I know
people in their late 60s where they've still got a substantial mortgage and they'll never pay it off. And it's scary. And that's poor planning and circumstances, divorces and things like that. But at the end of the day, it's a scary old place to be.
Ideal world, you'll pay your mortgage off early. It's not. At the days of I remember getting my first mortgage and we was talking. You turned up, you signed a bit of paper, and off you went. It was very different. Now you had a big boom in property prices. Yeah. Some people jumped on it, some people missed it. But is it attainable for people to own houses? Yes, it is. Yeah. But you have to be strict.
Discipline first.
Exactly. Yeah. You can go we do other things together, and I've spoke lots of times about first-time buyers and planning now. Not my advice. Martin Lewis is out there telling how you can get government bonuses available at the time, may change. But it's all about getting your deposit in place, planning for the future, and then taking advice and seeing, we can borrow 5 times our salary, 5.5 times our salary.
Crikey. And that's a massive, I suppose, with property prices going up, the market has had to kind of adjust to what people have got affordability-wise.
Let's be honest. I've done speeches before where you say, okay, this is what you're paying in rent. Yeah. This is if you just put some money aside, you took 2 years out, saved up some mortgage, to deposit towards a mortgage, and the interest rate you might depending on the property obviously, you may be paying £50 more for owning your own property, or you can carry on renting, but every person's different. Some people I've spoke to like my brothers. They all got good jobs all up in the city,
Yeah.
and they're like, that fear is that mortgage
live
ties
to
you
what they
down.
spend. Yeah.
If you've got a mortgage, you settle, you're happy. They want to go out and earn money and push themselves to keep going and going
and travel and do different things.
Exactly.
Go with it. I suppose if you get offered a job somewhere else and you've got the burden of a property, you've either got to rent it out or you've got to sell it, or
Yeah, I mean, lenders to accommodate for that as well. There is parts you can phone your lender and you can convert it to a short-term fix. Oh, this is how my life's going. I just want to flip it to what we call consent to let. Not every lender does it. They might give you a short period of time where you can try before you buy. If you want to move to another country or work sends you halfway up the country, you can put it on a buy to let, and then it didn't work out, and you've not lost your house. It's
so a lot more flexible than they were 20 years ago.
Yeah, and people don't understand that still. But that's when, again, sometimes I would be doing myself out of money. That's the right advice to give. Speak to your lender first, or then we look at options.
So there's a lot of different times that people want to be talking to you, not just when they're first off buying a home. Are you getting a lot of people refinancing to do development work and extensions on properties and things like that, or is that kind of DIY things slowed down since the kind of COVID days where people were living at home thinking we need more space?
I don't really deal in that too much, if I'm honest. Mine's mainly leads from estate agents. I'm getting people through the door on the phones who are come to an estate agent. They want to be buying a house. They want to be moving house. How can I help them? I try and market myself to do. My wife works in that kind of development areas. I try and market it. Not something I'm overly chasing, if I'm honest. So,
you enjoy the little niche that you work in and the lead flow that comes from that.
I do, yeah. 90% of my job is sales.
Yeah.
The finances are normally sorted out. The mortgage is normally the easy part. Getting the leads, and it's kind of the more leads you get, the more mortgages you make. So lead flow is key in my industry.
And a lot of that comes down to relationships. So have you had to go out and bang on the doors of estate agents to build those relationships, or do you do networking? What kind of things do you do to build those customers?
Probably not enough. I know you've had a guest on here before, and with Paul, and we've spoke about maybe building social media, building LinkedIn, so on and so forth. It is a good platform, and it's all free.
Yeah.
But you've got to do things like this where you're putting yourself out there, and it's not always in everyone's comfort zone.
Everything starts with a conversation. Every sale starts with a conversation, doesn't it? Even if you've got to get a lead from a website, you've then got to build that relationship. And social media is just really about credibility.
Yes, I believe you put a face to it. Yeah. You put a face to it, and people know you. They like, know, and trust. Yeah. So it is very much like that. But sometimes you'll have a lead come from an estate agent, and you've picked up that lead. Yeah. You're trying to convince them in the first 2 minutes you're the right guy for them or the right person for them, and after they've got another 7 brokers called them, or they've already spoke to 5 brokers. Why are they going to use you over this? So you've got to show a bit of knowledge, compassion, understanding, all within 3 minutes.
And ask the right questions.
Ask the right questions, yes. And sometimes if that means pushing them a little bit hard and telling them, like, I only work with certain kind of clientele, then, but you get a very small margin to work out what kind of character they are. And like I say, it's all about sales. Yeah. The mortgage normally sorts itself out. What
kind of common mistakes do you see first-time buyers or young couples making when it comes to getting a mortgage?
A lot of self-employed people. Okay. They obviously, you think that's not paying as much tax because you can claim for certain things. So then you turn up and you've got your documents from the government, the SA 302s, SA 100s, and they go.
They put the car through the business. They put the utility bills as much as they can through the business.
Exactly.
So their actual take-home salary is. A fraction.
I earn 50k, but my tax return shows that I earn 20 because I'm claiming all this, and you're like, okay. But that's what we work with. That's what the lender wants to see. How many years have you got of? And some people, I've had people turn up before, and lenders have different criteria, obviously. But some will be earning X amount one year and then have lower the next year. So because
is it a seasonal business, or are there certain factors affecting what they do?
So you have to find the right lender who understands that, and then you can commit your case underwriting. It's because we try to expand our business. We bought a van, or we bought some video equipment. Therefore, we can explain why there is a downturn. But sometimes computer says no. You've made a loss compared to last year. We're going to take this year rather than average it out.
Go back, work harder for another 18 months and tidy it all up in the right way.
Exactly, But first-time buyers, that's where, like I say, it's all about hand-holding.
Yeah.
People, you got to manage people's expectations. They turn up. Oh, I've heard I can get 3%, 3.98. Yeah, but that doesn't apply to you.
Yeah.
That's if you got a 60% loan to value, and you're putting down this house money. You're putting down 10%. You're not going to get that rate. You're trying to maximise your affordability and get a boost. You're not going to get the same rate as someone who's walking in, who's owned a house and got more money in the game.
So one of the things with self-employed people, especially a lot of the trades, they like to either do their self-assessments themselves, allows them to present the figures however they choose to. Is it beneficial for them to actually have an accountant that prepares their stuff so that you're getting things that are done the right way?
Not always, but sometimes the lender will have an accountant's reference. So you go in there, the accountant signs it off, says this, and then maybe look at the projected, because an accountant's got a good inside knowledge of it. We can say, my projected is X amount. It's not going to be the case, but it gives
being endorsed by someone else can help at times.
Exactly, yeah. So you do, and different lender again. Every lender's different, and that's 90% of the job is sales. 10% is 5% is mortgage, and 5% is just finding the right person for the right fit. So.
And your customers, do they tend to come back again? Is it a case of in 5 years' time you're back on the phone to them trying to rebroker that deal, or is it more of a challenge to keep those long-term relationships?
Not overly, but it's about personality. It's about keeping. Oh, do I remember Darryn because he's good at this? Do I remember? And so you can do someone's mortgage and it's transactional.
Yeah.
I want a mortgage, there's a mortgage, job done. Or I've been for beers with people who they just turned up, there's a customer, and I end up being friends with them. And I know they're going to come back. So, but if they go and walk into another estate agent, they're going to get another 7 brokers all over them. So there you have to keep contact and keep in their mind. So if it means sending out birthday cards, so on and so forth, or just, hey, how you doing, emails, then that's...
I know my first mortgage broker sadly passed away a few years back, but he turned up on our moving day with a gift voucher for the local takeaway and a bottle of wine and some flowers, and it's like, congratulations on your new house. And just that one thing, it probably cost him £50.
Yeah.
But... It was comment worthy that when you turn around and say, we just moved in, and actually the boxes are all still there, but we're having a takeaway on the guy, and there's a bottle of wine and some flowers. Every person that came around the house said, those flowers are lovely. Oh yeah, they came from our mortgage broker. And you told them the story, and it just made them referral worthy every time. So small things make a huge difference in those relationships.
Yeah, they can. Obviously, different brokers work in different ways. Some people are just transactional. Some people want to build relationships, ongoing relationships. I know guys I've spoke to, and they've got a book from 30 years. Yeah. And they don't go looking for new business, or they sit in one office and they just wait for their customers to keep coming around, because if you're doing X amount of mortgages 5 years ago, and then at 2 years...
There'll be a little bit of a drop-off and a little bit of new business, but generally you know what's going to be ticking in.
Like you say, if you've done a good job, they're going to come back. They're going to refer you to their nieces, nephews, and as they grow up, they've got kids, and
you become the family finance man, effectively.
And which is obviously hard when you're a broker for an estate agent, because you've got to try and break that bond. And that's not always easy. But sometimes it can work. Some people do have allegiances, and sometimes...
It's like everything, if you've got a friend, family member that's involved in an industry, you're more likely to pass on the business, and you just kind of accept those things, don't you?
Yeah, part and parcel of the job, ain't it? So not everyone's a winner. You can't convert every case.
No. And understanding when to move on is important as well.
Yeah, sometimes I'm like a dog with a bone, and it's like, all right, I'll keep emailing. It's like, you haven't answered, but it is what it is. So
you're self-employed or freelance, and how do you motivate yourself to hit those figures each month, and understand what you need to be bringing in from month to month, and be picking up those phone calls, knowing that that your rejection rate is possible. They might be getting 5, 6, 7 other people. How do you keep that motivation to keep picking up the phone and getting out there?
I don't know really. It's just motivation. It's just what you do. I've always lived by routine. Sink or swim. Yeah. You can capitulate, and life can get on top of you, and you can go nowhere and do nothing, or you wake up every morning, the sun's still shining, the sun's always going to be in the sky, and you're going to wake up and you've got a job to do.
Positive.
Because I've got families. I've got family to feed. I've got a wife who likes to do certain things. So it's like you do what you do, don't you?
Buckle up, sunshine. And
exactly. Exactly. Yeah. That's always been my attitude. Like, I've never been really money orientated. No. I've always been like, I do a job. If I don't enjoy it,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be doing it.
So what brought us to doing mortgage broking? What made you choose that as a career to start a new business in?
Usual thing, I kind of fell into it.
Okay.
Yeah. I was doing kickboxing at the time. It was pre-COVID, a while before that, and the guy who runs it, he has a very successful mortgage brokerage, and I slowly started teaching classes, becoming an instructor, so on, and then I suppose you can see with mortgage it's about sometimes personality, and if you can control a room full of screaming kids and make them all stand up straight and build that
that's
confidence.
kind of my idea of hell.
Yeah, I enjoy it.
Yeah,
I do enjoy it. Like we used to have kids come in there, and you could see they have no confidence, and they'd be looking down at the ground. But you can, after a few, not beasting them, but making them feel confident about themselves. You see them, they'd be standing taller. They'd be more engaged, and it's a good feeling. And if you can do that with children, you can do it on the phone to a customer. You can work them to your advantage. But and so it just kind of escaped from there. He offered me an opportunity, and I'm like, okay,
give it a go. What's there to lose?
Why not? Yeah.
So what's involved in the process of becoming a mortgage broker? Is there qualifications you have to do? Is it something anyone can just go out and broker stuff? What's the score?
You have to have a qualification, obviously. So just a CMAP level. Okay. So you just go out there and anyone can do it. Yeah. But it's not for everyone, because obviously when you start and you're self-employed, there's times with no money, because you're building a pipeline, you're building your knowledge and so on and so forth, and it takes time to build it up. But anyone can pick up and go and do it.
So that was quite a difficult time starting out then, trying to get those first few deals in and start building that pipeline and that lead flow.
Yeah, and when you're hungry for it, because you want to convert everyone, you probably make mistakes. You're probably pushing too hard or trying to be too friendly. It's trying to find the right balance that I'm running a business. Yeah. You need this. I can be friendly, but also evidently we need to get you a mortgage and I need to be paid. So it's finding the right balance. And you can be too hungry. What
kind of timeline does the average mortgage take? Is that something that's completed in a couple of weeks? Is it something that's completed in 6 months? What's a realistic?
I'm literally dealing with a guy right now. I've just made an offer on a. So I make offers on that behalf to estate agents. I made his best and final offer today. First time I spoke to him was November 23.
Crikey.
And we had a dip in place. He was looking at properties. He went away, and then I just keep in general contact. Yeah. I made a good impression on him at that stage. Comes back, just out of the blue. Yeah. And so 6 weeks, did you say earlier? No. Some can go on forever.
So from your business point of view, your kind of lead to actual commission hitting your bank account is not predictable at all.
No. Don't get me wrong, sometimes the estate agent phones up, hey, this couple want to buy this house, haven't got a broker, you can get the mortgage in 2 days, and then you probably got 12 weeks till they've actually moved in, and then say it can, and that's on a good day. Yeah. So, or someone's remortgaging and they're doing like a product transfer. It could be 6 months out. You start the process, you don't get paid for 6 months, which is probably the most problematic part of the job, I suppose, is that most of the time you can do a lot of work up front. Yeah. You can phone me up, hey Darryn, I want a mortgage. Yeah. We need this document, let's get you a decision in principle. Yeah. Then you go looking for houses. That's all for free. You can't you don't really charge it. Some people do. I don't understand that. But you get a decision in principle. They go off looking at houses. They walk in. They get to speak to another person exactly the same as me, and that's another done. 7.
So you do legwork for a competitor at times.
Yeah, not necessarily the legwork, but you've done all your job. You've not been paid. They walk in, and then the other broker picks them up. And if you're buying our property, we recommend you use our broker. And so you've done a lot of work for nothing. You'll charge a fee, but you won't maybe get that fee till you've made the application. But before that, you still got to find the right lender. You still got to get everything in place. Yeah, and then they just go cold, and that is the hardest part of the job. But
it's the risk versus the reward. That,
every business has it, doesn't it? Every business goes out there and they we're going to quote on this. They spend 3 weeks giving a quote on this building, building, and then goes nowhere. So it's no different.
So you work as part of another organisation. You're part of a group of brokers, aren't you?
Yeah, I work under AJMS.
So that was a good opportunity when you first started out to have a support network to help you.
Exactly. Lots of different personalities in there. Some people very business-like. We just do business. Some people friends and want to talk hours about people's dogs. You know who you're talking about if they're listening. And some people, they're good, and others maybe not so good. But having that knowledge around you when you're first starting out, be able to ask questions, it's
worth its weight in gold.
Yeah, exactly. And you learn on the job, don't you? It's like, and
every customer is probably a challenge in it different ways.
Yeah, exactly. 6 months ago, when you're starting out the first 6 months, you think, it's all, and then you think you got it under control, and you just said, criteria change for this land. There's a new bit. And the next day another new bit, and you think
there's
evolving all the time.
daily information changes that you've got to keep on top of, and other things in the industry.
And under the network we work for, we have to do monthly tests. Yeah. We have to do CP, that we have to do, keep our knowledge very, very broad and very, very up to date all the time, and they will test us and get your case checked and make sure you're still doing everything correctly. So it's good to be held accountable, because I'm not saying there's cowboys out there who will just do anything for anyone, but I imagine there are, and under different networks they may.
If you take pride in your work, and that's all good things to keep the standard of your work high, and to take care of your customers as well.
Exactly.
So was mortgage broking kind of your first foray into self-employment and small business, or is there other adventures you had along the way?
I'm not. When I was 21, I did do an office job, and I didn't like it. Almost didn't see it. And from 21 and a half, I said I would never work for someone again. And I went out, and since that age, I've just done. I know am I getting deep? We're here for a good time, not a long time. So I would never commit myself to Monday to Friday this many hours. I could never do that to myself. So I've always, from a young age, been out there doing exactly what I want when I want to do it. So it's. So
you told me you had a moving business for a little while, that you were couriering different products and things about. Well, tell us a little bit about that.
Something I fell into again. I did do an office job, and I saw other people out there, and this is going back to the 90s, going back at night, and I was like, how much? I'm signing off checks for these guys who are going out, and I'd been a driver for a little while. They're earning this much, so I was like, okay, I'll take part of that. And then once you do a little bit, you start to meet other people, and you end up with good contracts. And for a while, I was working for a very big auction house in London, and it was seasonal work, but it allowed me to totally live my life. I was in a very fortunate position. I could live my life, still earn enough money. There'd been 2 months where I didn't work 1 month, 2 months I didn't work.
Sounds like a dream.
It wasn't bad, it went to pot, but there we go. Life.
Now, talk me through that, because failure, having had some real business challenges in my past as well, it's easy to kind of get caught up on those failures sometimes, or when things don't quite land as they expect. I've had people that have disappeared owing us tens and hundreds of thousands of pounds. We've had various other things that hit you along the way. So talk us through that. How did that business kind of come to an end?
It was a phone call. I think it was a day before my son's. I can't remember what birthday it was, but it was midnight. I got a text saying, "Oh, that's gone." Wow. That contract's gone, literally. And I'm like, and I had to wake up and try and be jovial the next day with my son. It was his birthday, and he was like, it was a hard time. But this is my personal. I don't dwell on things.
Yeah. So get up the next morning. Right, what we're going to do next?
I don't. I can. You'll make mistakes. Your past is littered with mistakes that you've made, and you just get on, move on to the next one. And if you don't learn from them, then more for you. But you just keep going, and what else you going to do?
Next adventure. Let's see what's coming up next.
Yeah, I mean, we know a various amount of people, and we network together, and we sit in a room, and we know we're surrounded by people who just go out there and do it. Yeah. And obviously, I speak to a lot of people, and some people are just like, I don't know, what would happen? I have to ask the question, what would happen if you couldn't pay your mortgage? Yeah. Obviously trying to work on life insurance and so on and so forth. And they're like, well, I don't know. Like, and you can hear in their voice, they really don't know. And you're like, okay, well, we can address that. We can try and get you something in place. But also, personally, what would you do? Yeah. You've got no choice. You've got to get up.
Oh, who's the actor that goes, I've got a very, very specific set of skills, and I will hunt you down, and I will kill you. And I remember I had a conversation. I'd gone through a divorce, and it'd been very rough. And I met this letting agent, and they said, and I was honest with them. I said, look, I'm relocating from Kent up to the Peak District. There's a few skeletons in the closet, a few difficult times. We just shut a business. The ex-wife caused an awful lot of problems, and I said, but here's the thing. I said, these are the skills that I've got. Yeah. I'm resilient. Most people that you come through your door, I've got one skill set. I've got 3 or 4. So if I've got to do 3 or 4 jobs to pay the bills, 3 or 4 jobs will get done.
Exactly, yeah.
But at some point you jumped on a plane and decided to head for the sun and create a little bit of a future there.
Yeah, my wife kind of calls it a long holiday. But yeah, there's a point where, like, I'd had a previous relationship and got a son who's like in his 30s now, and I think that I was working quite hard there, and I vowed never to miss out on my children's future again. So I think when my daughter was, she hadn't even turned 1, we was like, okay, and we just got rid of everything, jumped on a plane and said, I'm going to go sit in the sun and watch them grow up on the beach. Very fortunate at that time. As I say, my business was I could take a few months off, fly back, do a week's work, leave them out there, and backwards and forwards. It was a nice time, but inevitably you kind of get bored sitting around.
It takes a lot to just kind of pack up your world and start afresh, though.
Oh, it's not my personal. I could do it again tomorrow. I just you get one shot at this, Jamie. Enjoy your life while you can. I would pack up tomorrow. We probably will at some point in the future do it again. Our kids are just at a stage now, they're just starting GCSEs and so forth. Put us past that stage,
So you've always kind of been looking for opportunities, always had that eye to see what's the next thing.
I've always had that eye to enjoy myself and enjoy life, and finding that work-life balance. I could never be out there doing what some people do all day, and that's good for them that they can. I've
got friends that
my personality.
Worked on a machine shop for 30 years. Yeah, the idea of going to the same office, factory, day in, day out for the whole of your working life would just suck the soul out of my body.
Yeah, but they're happy doing it. So it's like you got to. Every person's different. Some people couldn't do like what we do, put ourselves out there and be hunting for the work. Look, the idea of a monthly paycheck every time and knowing exactly what you're doing, and you can still go take the kids out the weekend. You can go and do this. I can understand why people
nice
choose
pension.
That. Exactly. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. It's like if you work all your life and you come to it, but I've always had this understanding that, or thought process that by the time I get to 60, 70, my body would be like, oh, you're too old to go go and do this and go and do that. It's like, so I tried to do it when I was younger, and now like we like I say, we was abroad for a long holiday, and then we was like, okay, where should we come back to? And we was like, oh, Surrey seems nice. Come here, start again, turn up with 2 suitcases again, and then go. Let's go again.
And every time you rebuild life, it looks a little bit different with a few different shackles along the way. How would you describe your outlook on success? Because you seem almost like the level of freedom you have is how you judge your success.
Yeah, totally, that's success. Money, there's an old adage, and the man laying on his deathbed, looking out his window, looking at his Bentley, looking at his BMW, going, I can't take it with me. But he's wasted all that time through his life building up to get that, and missing out what was actually going on. So there's certain things in life I look at as like, if I can't touch it in my sphere, then it's not my problem, not my business.
Not
everyone get on with it, and this is my moment to enjoy my kids, enjoy my wife, enjoy my life. So success is marked in different ways. Mine is being around my family all the time. So
having that freedom.
Yes, exactly.
So if you were to go back 20, 30 years and start out all over again, is there a piece of advice that you'd give yourself, or look back on a challenge that you'd had and say, do you know what, if I'd known now what I knew then, or vice versa?
Being in property, it'd be like, go and buy as many houses as you can. Walk in and just sign that paperwork and not worry about it, and just go and when you didn't have surcharges, this and that, and people obviously make fortunes out of it. I deal with people who...
You would have had hundreds of properties and...
Exactly. I mean, my first property, going back to, I think I signed my first deed a couple of days after my 18th birthday, and the mortgage was, it was under £400. And that property's now worth X amount. It's ridiculous. Them times ain't going to come again. So,
do you feel sorry for the next kind of generation that are coming through, because they're not going to see that silver surfer wealth that is kind of locked in property in an awful lot of ways?
Yeah,
our children aren't going to see that.
Well, they do and they don't. But obviously, because generational wealth rolls downhill eventually, doesn't it? It's, if someone's got a house worth this, it goes downhill, and you do benefit from some ways. And like we went to earlier, is that you can do it now.
Yeah.
Lenders are trying to help you.
So do you think the media's commentary is very negative around property?
Yeah, totally.